What we have here are two extremely rusted Ithaca Model 37s. Get a little closer here. These were both owned by an older gentleman. I guess he was having some medical problems, and he had a roof leak in the bedroom these were stored in, and they, I guess, lay in moisture for a period of time before they were removed from that location. And then unfortunately, even after they were removed, they weren't cleaned up immediately, but they were just stored in an outside shed for a number of years. I'm not certain whether they're going to be salvageable or not. The action on this one actually will function. The other one is actually so rusted I can't even open the action. And I tested it by running a cleaning rod down the barrel, and based on the length the cleaning rod goes into up to the bolt, I know that it's not loaded. But it was a little concerning for me at first. I just out of habit, you like to be able to open the firearm and function check it. The chamber was, chambers locked closed. So the goal here is to clean them up and hopefully get them functioning again. But the first thing is to get the heavy rust off. And I'm not going to go through everything on video, but I hope to have a certain amount on video to sort of help you understand the proper way of removing rust. So often you see people who just get on a firearm with a small amount of rust. They just go crazy with steel wool or some other method, and it ends up, doing more damage than good. Now with this one, most of the damage is, pretty much any of the collector value is already gone. I don't know if that's going to be bright enough or not here. Right now I just have them soaking with Croil oil. Let me see if I get that in the shot there. A number of people online on forums have suggested that works well. I've used a lot of other penetrating oils, and actually it does seem to work fairly effectively. One of the key elements, if you're trying to preserve original bluing, now there is a little left here, there's so little left here, one actually probably could get aggressive and not, change value. In fact, any talk about value here and the amount of work that's going to be involved in this, it just has to be a labor of love. You're not going to actually be effective in in cleaning something up like this for profit, because there's too much time involved. But one of the key elements is using soft metal tools, like a copper tool here, or I've got a copper bristle brush down there. And again, you want to concentrate your efforts on the damaged areas. But like I say, this is so pitted, I may actually have to go to some steel tools to actually remove some of this pitting. But right now I'm trying to soak it down with the Croil, and then clean up the rust enough to see what I've got. And one of the things I want to try to do is get the wood off here. I prefer not to get too much oil soaked onto that, but it's going to happen either way. And with this one, like I say, I definitely want to try to clean up the action enough so that I can at least get it opened up here and investigate it. One little thing, for example, like this spring assembly here for loading. And I'm not sure if this is, I think this one is probably a 20 gauge. I believe the other one's a 12, maybe 16. I'm not even sure on the gauge yet. I don't have them apart. But I use things like a brass tool and a little hammer here. And I had this soaking for a little bit, so there we go. Okay, so that actually is freed up one little part here. Freed up the plunger a little bit. Let's see if I can free up the release here. It's pretty solid, so key to avoid damage is always trying to be using something like brass. And again, I've got a solid hammer here, but I'm not hitting it directly. I'm using a little brass rod here to try to just, you know, put a little force on this. And again, this is in such bad condition, you're not going to damage it one way or another. But if it is going to come back to a functioning firearm, trying to be a little bit gentle on it to free things up is the way to do it. Try to free up the operating rod here. I'm going to knock and scrape on this a little bit more here and see if I can free this one up like I had the other one. See, this one is corroded up. It will actually still function, and even maybe I've got the safety on and still fire. So it's pretty bad shape, but I'm pretty sure this one, it will be possible to get into a functioning gun again. But I've got to examine once I clean up this rust, I got to examine the barrel carefully to make sure I don't have too deep a pitting on it. So I'm hoping this is going to be part one of other videos, but you don't know with rust until you really start digging into it. So we'll see if there's going to be a part 2 and a part 3 or 4. We'll see. Got the bolt to move a little bit on this. I actually again, this little seems to be a little rough on the gun, but again, these are already so far gone. Barrel retaining nut is going to be quite difficult, I fear. Let's see if we can get to the frees up the safety. It's all going to have to be disassembled. I'm sure the spring in there is all crudded up. Slide in its own, so I just free it up. There, just trying to get a little motion on it. Okay, locked up. actually, yep, I hear the hammer drop. Well, that freed up enough. Like I say, now it's just a matter of dealing with rust. What I normally like to do is, and again, I'm being more aggressive than I would be if there was just very fine rust on something. If there's fine rust, you want to be very delicate. When you've got rust this heavy, you can be a little more aggressive. I actually find when I get an old brush like this that's all matted down, this is a copper brush matted down like that, and you can see the rust coming off it. Now, the rust particles themselves can actually be abrasive when bluing, so again, if you had a nice firearm, you would want to be cleaning off your rust immediately, and again, be a lot more delicate. Clean off your rust, new oil down, clean off your rust, new oil down again, because you don't want to be moving the actual particles of rust, which can be abrasive. But again, with these, they're such a rough condition, we're just going to manhandle them a little bit. And okay, I've been working on these for a while. 12 gauge actually is cleaning up pretty good here. There's definitely going to be some pitting in it. Let's see if I can get there we go. Had to use steel tools in a couple of places because the scaly rust is so heavy. The copper tools, which I prefer to use, aren't effective, and when there's so much bluing gone, that little bit is not going to hurt. It's when you have bluing that you want to avoid steel scraping tools. But this one, I've got a coat of Croil oil on it, and I'll let that soak another 24 hours or so, and then go to work again on some of these additional spots on the receiver and elsewhere, and then get it disassembled. The places I'm concerned, disassembly is the barrel nut here. Threads are corroded. Worst case scenario, I may have to use a little heat on that to free that up. So the 12 gauge looks like it should function again. Now the 20 gauge, that's not quite the same here. We've got some pretty severe pitting on the barrel here. Going to have to evaluate. Fortunately, like I said, both the inside of these barrels look okay, so that's good. It was just moisture that was getting to the outside of them. And again, this barrel nut here, I did get the little assist lever free, but this is pretty severely corroded. I'll soak it down well with Croil oil, and I tap on it a good bit, working on it, trying to free it up, and again, may require a little heat. I probably should be able to get it open eventually, but when moisture gets into threads like that, it's always tough. And again, like I say, the receiver is going to be pitted. Even if it needed a barrel replacement, this receiver should still function okay. Again, all this is going to have to come apart. A little concerned, even the screws in the wood, they can actually rust in pretty good if they were sitting in moisture as they were. So that's it for today, and like I say, hopefully I'll be making some more videos, and we'll eventually get these to a position where they can be fired, and 2 guns that were abandoned will be saved.